Hello guys and welcome back to the next part of our video series. Today we're going to be talking about the design of our character, the design of the dress of our character. We need to find a way to have a balance between sexiness and functionality because you've seen all of these designs that sometimes get into games and movies where it just doesn't make any sense for a character to be running around almost naked. And that's the kind of thing that we're going to fix right now. So let's start talking about what we need. In a general context, we want most of the anatomy from our character to show. So one of our key points here is going to be keep it simple. Okay, we want to keep it really simple so that the character and the design of the anatomy and everything talks more than what the dress is going to be having. Now, in regards to the design of our character, there are three factors or three special things that I want to include. I want to include a necklace. I will talk about this in just a second. I want to have a bracer. And I want to have a belt. Other than that, we'll have a dress. And that's it. We will just have these few items for our character. Because if you remember, we mentioned that we want this character to be like having a walk on the forest, and then she finds, I don't know, the god that will eventually become her husband. Sorry. We want to keep her very light, very simple. She's just enjoying her youth and enjoying the life and whatnot. So the necklace is going to be important. This has to do with a little bit of the history from Freya. Freya is the bearer of a very important necklace called Brisingamen, and it has something to do with flames and fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to design it's like a gold necklace that she's going to be carrying around. And this gold necklace will have 5 orange stones. I'm going to have one main stone, which is the Brisingamen stone, like the important one. And it's going to be guarded by a couple more stones here and there. It's very simple. Right now this is just a sketch. It's just a concept, but it's for you to visualize what's going to happen. I think her neck's a little bit too long. I'll fix that before we do retopology. She's going to have her hair, of course. I could take a picture of her actual like sketch hair, but for now let's keep her bald. That's fine. Oh, that's again stone there and stone there. There we go. So that's one thing covered. We're gonna be looking at this later on, but for now that's it. Next thing is gonna be a bracer. I want her to have a gold bracer. I'm gonna have it right here on her right arm. I'm still not sure of the design. We'll need to find some more reference and see where we sculpted, whether we do it in ZBrush or in Maya. But she'll have a gold bracelet. Again, just to denote that she is from, she's not just any mortal. She's a goddess, and she portrays that. Remember that in ancient times, of course, gold and jewelry were not as common. So it's important to have those kind of details to make sure that people know that she's a big deal. Now, the belt. This is going to be a very important thing. And if you remember from my past the past presentations, we're going to be using, I forgot her name, Lagertha's reference in regards to the belt. I went through a long search to kind of know what would be the best thing for our character. And I find that most of the medieval or older dresses do not show or actually cover a lot of skin. So there is no historically accurate dress that would show more skin for our project. So we're gonna adapt a little bit of Roman and Greek culture into our Nordic mythology here. So I'm gonna add a big broad belt. It's gonna allow me to keep her waist pretty and nice. And this belt will have more gold like memorabilia or not memorabilia, like emblems and a little bit of coins and some stuff. I don't want her to look like a warrior, so this is not armor, but I do want this belt to showcase again her status, right? If you were to find a goddess in the middle of the forest, you need to know that you're looking at a goddess, and by heavily decorating with some nice details here and there, we will make sure that this tells a story. So we might have some engravings that talk about how that give the audience the idea that she's a goddess. Actually, let's get rid of the gold. I don't want to oversell that. We'll add those couple of lines here and there, like so. And what we're gonna have There's gonna be a lot of inscriptions and maybe some little carvings here and there on this thing. We might have a couple of golden, like marks, like little divots or something. Again, I don't want her to look like a warrior. We might revise some of this stuff later on. But the important thing, what we came here to talk about, the dress. In regards to the dress, the color I picked is white, because white, we typically associate white with purity, virginity, pureness, and in this case, innocence. So I want to make sure that she portrays or she communicates that status to whoever sees her. On the bottom side, we're going to keep it really simple. We're going to do a long skirt, and that's why the belt plays a very important role, because the belt is going to hide where this skirt starts and finishes. So I'm just going to... Oh, Photoshop is making a mess again. I'm just going to sketch real quick the dress. But I do want to have like an open leg here. So I'm going to have an open leg here. So all of this, it's gonna flow down, and we're gonna have an open dress there. Let's fill this in so that it's easier to visualize what we have, like so. I'm not gonna go super long because that makes it difficult for the games to run with those kind of cloth. In regards to cloth and games, you need to understand that it's still a little bit difficult to dynamically simulate how cloth folds and whatnot. So that's why you will see most of the female characters in games with either very tight dresses and shirts and whatnot, or flowy dresses, but that move very... They don't move naturally. They are very stiff, and that's because riggers will place bones, like a couple chains of bones going down, like 1 or 2 bones here, and all of this bone will move a whole area of the dress. Instead of everything moving nicely and very dynamically, they move like if the dress was made out of plates. So it gets a little bit stiff in that regard, but that's what we have right now. As long as the consoles and the gaming engines can keep on growing, we will have better and more dynamic cloth. There are, like, Nvidia has this cloth effects, I think it's called, which is good, but again, it's very expensive in regards to what the GPU and CPU have to calculate. So in our case, we need to keep it as close to her as possible, not super flowy, so that it's easier to pose later on. And on the top, let me see if Photoshop wants to play nicely again. Come on, Photoshop, help me out. There we go. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's some sort of issue with the software that I use to record and then Photoshop, but we'll keep it nice. Come on. As for the upper side, we need to be very careful of what we do there, because we tend to make the mistake of just thinking, oh, this looks cool, but is it functional? And in order to know whether something is functional or not, we need to think of cloth as a sort of wrapping that's gonna go around the body. And let me see if I can show you this. Let's go back into Marvelous. It's gonna be easier to show you here in Marvelous. So I'm gonna select my wing real quick, hoping that Photoshop decides to respond soon. Let's re-evaluate this. So with no wind or no more wind, I can just select both of these parts, Control K, which was the freeze and unfreeze, and everything is just gonna fall back again to the front. So if I have, let's say I want to do a very common thing. Let's say I want to do just like a strap that goes around the breast and pretty much joins here with the belt. If I were to create just like a long looking here, some strip like this, one of the issues that I'm gonna face is that this piece is not long enough to cover all of the breast, and if I try to just place it here, it's gonna fall to the side. Cloth tends to fall. As soon as it can, it will try to flow towards the ground. So we need to engineer the dress so that it remains where we want it to remain. And a lot of people like doing, oh, wrong project. A lot of people like doing this weird looking like very thin straps going down, you know, and they think that if you were to wear this dress, they would just remain there. Believe me, they will not. All of the superstars that you see on the red carpet that are wearing very low cleavages, they usually have tape, like double-sided tape, on their breast and on their dress so that it doesn't fall and it gets uncomfortable. So we need to think of ways to make it comfortable for our character and at the same time sexy. So this is what we're gonna do for ours. We're gonna have a neckline coming from the back like so, and it's gonna be very, very broad on the side. We're not gonna see any side boob. It's gonna come down like so, and it's gonna come down to the middle line of the belt. This is very important. We're gonna keep it narrow here so that it gets this nice little cleavage, but it's gonna get broader and broader as it hits the belt. And this one is gonna go all the way to the back. So if you can imagine the back of our character, this is her back. Whoop. It's gonna go all the way to the back and join pretty much at the middle line of the back. So we're gonna have an uncovered back, which is gonna be sexy, but it's gonna also be holding from the top here. So this is where we're gonna be seeing on the back view there. Why is this important? Because if we only attach this to the front, then very easily would this cloth move to one side or the other and reveal her whole boob, and we don't want that. Now, as we saw with the types of folds, we're gonna have a lot of tension here on the top, and then some compression here on the bottom, which is gonna give us a very nice looking profile and silhouette for our character, like so. So we're gonna cover all of this. It's gonna be tense, so that's gonna give us, from the side view, it's gonna give us a very nice looking tension there on the breast, on the boobs, but also it's gonna cover and make it look not as revealing as some other things might be. What other things could you do? There's a couple of other options. We're not going to be doing those, but I want to share them with you so that you have other options if you're doing this type of characters. We could do a corset, which is just basically covering her whole... Let me do this in another layer. So we cover her whole body like so. All of this with either leather or cloth, but it's usually something harder than just normal like cotton and stuff. It's just a corset like so. You would need to, of course, have either the threads here on the front or on the back. We're gonna have this for the belt on the back, and then you could do, instead of having this right there, you could have just like some sleeves here, crossing, and then covering her boobs a little bit, and then crossing. So you will have like a strapless dress. The only issue with this is that the topology for this kind of cloth is a little bit tricky, and she won't be able to raise her arms that much because the cloth would stretch and it would look really, really weird. Other medieval dresses would just keep going like here and then have these very long sleeves, which is also another option. But I don't want her to look super medieval. I want her to look a little bit more Nordic. And this kind of dresses would go all the way up. They wouldn't be strapless and cover her shoulders like so. So that's another option for dresses. You can of course go, and there's a lot of reference for Freya. She was going topless, which is okay. But again, I think I've mentioned it earlier. If you leave any part of reproductive system or any very obvious part uncovered, like the breasts, people are just gonna look at that and they will ignore all the other details that you might have created for your character, and it takes away the attention of the audience. So try to avoid that. Even in games like The Witcher that do have a little bit of nudity, they try to keep it simple, or it's not simple. They try to keep it not vulgar, you know. It should, whenever you're using or dealing with nudity, try to keep it tasteful. I think that's the word. And in a sorry, I'm having a hard time expressing myself here, but just, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what I mean. Just don't show a boob just to show the boob. If you're gonna do it, have a purpose and make it look nice, not in a gross or in a very vulgar way. Try to make it look tasteful, you know, like old paintings. There was a lot of nudity there, but you wouldn't see it in a dirty way. It was very artistic, so always try to keep that in mind. So again, yeah, I could have like a tighter dress here, closer to her shape. And this is what I recommend you guys doing. Grab a screenshot of your character, either from ZBrush or from Maya, and just start sketching stuff out. Because after you sketch stuff out, then you're gonna come here and you're gonna analyze what you need to do in order to get that into existence. So for instance, in my case, I need these very two specific patterns. For the front or for the skirt, it's pretty much just gonna be a skirt, but it's gonna be a little bit open on one of the sides, like so. And that, when you mix this and this side, you're gonna get like the whole cone, but with the open leg, like so, which is gonna give me exactly that result I want. Should I go all the way up? I wouldn't advise. I would advise against that. Again, keep it artsy, not vulgar. So give her a little bit of a closing here. And again, we need to have like our seam line right there. Right or left? I would suggest, in my case, having it on the left, because I already have something important here on the right side, so that way we can keep it balanced for our character. And then on the top, my cloth is gonna be, if I were to like unfold this stuff into like a pattern, it would be going around the neck like so, and then going all the way around into the back. It's gonna be like this kind of triangular looking stuff. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this into pieces. I'm gonna have one cut here, one cut on the side, and then of course this little strip right here. Because again, remember what we talked about, how having different dimensions on where the stitches go will give us a different result. So that's exactly what I want. I want a lot of stitches here so that I get nice little wrinkles here, but very few stitches here so that this tenses up quite a bit. Okay, so I hope you guys like this quick video on how I would, or how I normally design cloth for our characters. It's time for us to jump into ZBrush and do that. Or ZBrush, rather, Marvelous. We're gonna jump into Marvelous and start sketching this stuff out. I'll see you guys in the next video.